Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So, will the European Union or NATO attack Ukraine? Well, it seems like the national interests of two countries in the European Union, NATO member states, were attacked. How the Ukrainians, who are not in the European Union, who are not part of NATO, attacked a oil pipeline that comes from Russia and delivers oil to Slovakia and Hungary. And oil transfer has ceased, zero. Now, this is the third time when the Ukrainians do that. Now, I don't know if you have a scuffle with a neighbor and you hurt my, family's interests, like for instance, we don't have food because of you, or we don't have electricity because of you, we don't have heating because of you in the middle of the winter, what do you think I will do? I will go and smack you. So, will the European Union and NATO smack Ukraine for attacking their union member states? There's two countries, Slovakia and Hungary. So I'm going to give you the details of this attack, the third one, in about 7 days, or not even 7 days. I think the first one was on the 18th. 3 times, and they halted the transfer of oil. Now, this is national interest. I will put this back to back to another incident, if you remember, the 7th of December 1941, when the Japanese, again unprovoked, attacked one American territory, not state, Hawaii, right? Remember Pearl Harbor? Well, why did that happen? Well, just because we were told Japanese were imperialistic, which they were. The problem is, did you do anything to them? Yes, that's exactly the same thing. They prevented Japan from getting resources from Southeast Asia, the Americans from across Pacific. And those guys said, wait a minute, this is against our survival. Japan is very poor in natural resources, just so you know. For its industrialization, it needed to purchase them. And the Americans told them, no, you can't do that. So here you have the Ukrainians blowing up some oil pipelines that would give Slovakia and Hungary bloodline, if you want. However, I want to say blood to survive. Now, I will give you more context on this. Let's read and watch the video with the attack and look over the map. And you tell me if this necessitates a declaration of war on Ukraine. Why do I say this? Because I said many times before, Ukraine is pumped with money, resources, and weapons. And these guys say Ukraine will use it only eastward, towards Russia. And I claim that the behavior of the guys in charge of Ukraine, not the Ukrainians, in charge of Ukraine, could immediately turn westward. And what are you guys going to do? If you think, oh, no, the rapist is going to go only to that town, the rapist is not going to go to our town, then I don't know. You need to, go around the block one time at least. So let's read these articles. New Voice of Ukraine. This is from August 22nd, 2025. Yeah. Ukraine hits Druzhba oil pumping station in Unecha, Bryansk Oblast. So this is the one. So what they do? Where is this Ucha? Right here. So this is the map of Ukraine. You have Bryansk right here. And the Druzhba pipeline goes north. I will show you a different map where you have exactly Ucha located exactly here. Unecha. Right here. This is where the pipeline was struck. And I will show you, so in the big scheme of things, this is the border with Ukraine right here. And I have another one. I'm going to show you the pipeline. Here, this is the pipeline. This is Ukraine right here. I'm going to show you the European map. This is Ukraine. And Bryansk is right here. So it right here goes from here. And in Belarus, it splits. One Druzhba 2 pipeline, right? Friendship. And Friendship 1 goes towards Poland and goes to the Germans. The other one, the Druzhba 2, goes through Ukraine and goes right here and goes to Hungary, goes to Slovakia, goes to Czech Republic, and then goes to Germany again. So they blew up the station right here. And let me show you another map. So it comes from here, from Russia. One goes here, Belarus. Here it splits. It goes Ukraine, Slovakia, Hungary, blah, blah, blah. The other one goes Warsaw, Berlin, and right here. So one goes north, the other one goes south, Slovakia, Hungary, Czech Republic, and Germany. So they blew it up. This is the third time. Ukraine Unmanned Systems Forces hit oil pumping station in Russia's Bryansk Oblast. And I'm going to show you the video on this one as well. Sputnik, Druzhba oil pipeline attacked again. Slovak economy minister says. So Russian oil supplies to Slovakia via the Druzhba pipeline had to be suspended earlier in August following an attack linked to Ukraine. The Druzhba pipeline near the Belarusian border has been targeted again, says Slovakia's economy minister Denisa Sokova. So again, remember, it was struck again. This guy's from Slovakia right here, or if you want, I will show you this map here. This is Ukraine. Slovakia is right here. This is Hungary. This is Slovakia. So these guys are claiming, and these guys, hey, you cut our oil supply, we will be dying. And this guy says, well, you got to do what we tell you to do in the European Union. Now that is terrorism. If I try to change your political view using, I don't know, physical attacks and trying to create panic and strangle you militarily this way, it's not like, oh, I'm going to give you this, you're going to negotiate. No, I destroy your supply of oil. And then you're going to vote the way I want. Now, if you think that's right, I hope that happens to you, but you are at the receiving end. When someone says, you know what, I want you to buy only from me, the groceries. You say, no, I want to buy from wherever you want. Okay, and they tell you, well, I know where your son goes to school. Or let's say you go with a car picking up your son and someone T-bones you. And they say, well, it was us. We did it to you. So are you going to buy groceries from us? What is this? Remember, this is a thuggish, mafia-style behavior. If they apply it towards Russians, okay, you say, well, the Russians attacked. Now you apply to these guys who disagree. They disagree with you, nothing else. You do this to them, destroy their economies, and I'm going to show you more. And these are part of the European Union and NATO. And what do you think NATO and the European Union will do? I tell you, nothing. Why? Because they want these countries to be made to vote in a certain way. So this is terrorism, isn't it? I mean, look at the definition, if you don't believe me. So let's see what's next. Pumping may stop shortly. We are assessing the scale of the damage, she warned in social media. On Wednesday, Slovakia's economy minister reported all deliveries via the Druzhba pipeline halted after an attack linked to Ukraine on Monday. Russian oil supplies to Hungary has also been suspended earlier this year following the Ukrainian military attacks on the pipeline's key distribution station Unecha in Russia's Bryansk region. And here, on the night of March 21st, the Ukrainian forces attacked the Szijjártó gas metering station, triggering an explosion and an ensuing blaze. I'm not going to play that one. I'm going to play the other one that is right here. Ukrinform. Forces strike Druzhba oil pipeline in Russia again. And they're happy about it. They're happy about it. All right, let's play this little video. It doesn't have any sound. It's not something. It's just a fire in the sky. That's all what it is. But it shows you the magnitude of this. I mean, obviously, this is a big fire, and it's a successful operation conducted by the British and, the Ukrainians. That's what it is. Now, this made two countries basically be strangled economically. And not only economically, I mean, these guys if you don't have resources, what are you going to do? You buy them and purchase for somewhere else. And if someone stops you from purchasing, then you are strangled. That's a declaration of war in my books. All right? In my books, that's a declaration of war. Well, that's what it is with this one. Next. New voice of Ukraine. Szijjártó, this is the ballsy, smart foreign minister of Hungary, complains of third Druzhba pipeline attack as oil supply to Hungary halted. Okay, he complained. So why did he complain? Obviously, they're done for now. And we're going to go to right here, Slovakia and Hungary, both countries complained to European Commission about strikes on Druzhba oil pipeline. So let me put it in this perspective. You are the parent of a family, a European Union, and you have a child who got smacked real bad, almost, is about to pull his air out of his system by the neighbor. A neighbor that is not your friend, a neighbor that is not part of your family, a neighbor who's at war with someone else, and he does that purposely to you, not to the guy he's fighting. So what would you do? I tell you what I would do. I would not even get dressed, go over there and smack the fuck out of that neighbor who endangered my son or my daughter's, let's say, not well-being, life. That's what I would do. Now, if you don't do that, well, I hope those children will, you know what I mean, in the name of, saving Ukraine's democracy, in the name of Zelensky's time. Okay? So these guys kids, Slovakia and Hungary, complain to the big boss, Brussels, and the Brussels don't do anything. Now, I think it's their duty, the NATO, to do the same thing. Now, imagine it would have been Russia doing this. Let's say Russia destroys a pipeline that goes, between, I'm just making up, Mexico and United States of America. Let's say from Mexico, oil comes towards United States of America. And Russia is at war with Mexico and blows up that going to United States of America. What do you think the Americans will do? That's a declaration of war. By any standards, that is a declaration of war. It's not because we have Ukraine, Russia, Czech Republic, and Slovakia and Hungary here, and Russia. It's not that. It is a declaration of war, however we want to take it. That's how the Japanese took it before the Second World War. All right, and maybe you're familiar with some jackals having a, community masturbation session when they said that Trump called Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, who doesn't follow Brussels orders, but hey, his country that he represents is still in the European Union and is a NATO member state. So supposedly Trump called Orban and said, Orban, you have to vote for the admission of Ukraine in the European Union after 2 strikes on the pipelines. And everybody was like, yes. Now Trump is very angry with Ukraine's attack on the Druzhba pipeline. And he wrote towards Mr. Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, I'm very angry about it. What are you going to do? Well, tell your little minions over there in Ukraine, if you can, or you're in the same minion category, to stop. Will he do that? So let's see what Trump did. So this is the initial, as I said, session. Ukrainska Pravda. This is from August 19th. Trump demands, according to Ukrainska Pravda, explanations from Orban on why he's blocking Ukraine's EU accession. Now remember, Trump is just the president of a country, one country. That's it. His legal authority on this planet is he is the president of one out of 193 countries on this planet. That's it. One country that has no authority on any other country. Nothing. Only the United States of America. That's the legal, how should I call it? The legal, the legal extent of the U.S.'s president. That's it. United States of America. But somehow he calls the prime minister of another country to demand explanation why he disagreed with the policy of another entity, the European Union, regarding another entity, Ukraine. Ukraine is not the 51st state of the United States of America. The United States of America is not involved in Ukraine to fight the Russians, are they? No, we just supply love and happiness. And let me show you something else. I was too lazy to do this, but anyway, you have here, this is from the 18th of August, and it says, from Ukrainska Pravda, Druzhba oil pipeline halts operations after Ukraine strike on pumping station in Russia. All right, so these guys did it multiple times right there, multiple times. So he supposedly communicated with Orban and demanded explanations. It's like Hungary demands explanation. For instance, why do we kick people illegally here out? Mind your own business. That's the internal affair. All right. Or why do you put, I don't know, taxes on China? US President Donald Trump called Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban after talks at the White House on 18th of August to ask why he was blocking Ukraine's negotiations on joining the European Union. To ask, and the other one is to demand explanations. There's two little differences. If you go in front of a judge and you say, I would like to ask you a question, that's one thing. And if you say, I demand explanations from you, what do you think will happen? You go to jail. So the terminology is very important. But nevertheless, this is Ukrainska Pravda. So everybody, as I said, had a session of chop, because, oh my God, they're going to take Orban to task. But let me show you what happened. Here you have it. Sputnik. 2 hours ago, I am very angry. End quote. Trump writes to Orban over Ukraine's strikes, plural, on Druzhba pipeline. Now you could say the same thing. Why is he intervening? Well, he's angry. Why? Because he's trying to make peace with the other guys, with the Russians. Now, if Hungary opposes Ukraine's accession into the European Union, that should have nothing to do with the peace process. After all, is NATO not the European Union necessarily? But then what's the problem if Ukraine is outside of the European Union versus being inside of the European Union? When you're a member state, you're protected by the European Union, but the European Union does not protect Hungary and Slovakia. That means you have a parent who has preferences. And the preferences are more for the neighbor's kid. Probably he's banging his their mom. And then you have the kids that he doesn't care about that. So you want to join here because if they will join here, I might do the same thing to these people. Like the Ukrainians right now, they strike the interests of Slovakia and Hungary, but tomorrow they can strike the Germans and so on. And they already did that with the same strikes on pipelines. So this is a rogue state. Could turn around and get you. Now it's shooting over there, but if you dare to touch his little war over there, from the orders of those guys, he can turn towards you. So yeah, arm them. Hail their new Flamingo missile that they have, 1,400 kilometers, strikes deep inside Russia. What makes you think it's going to be only towards Russia? They can turn and hit Berlin or whatever they want to hit. London, to be more specific. So all these things are imbecilic. And let me tell you what exactly he wrote to Orban. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban published on Friday, today, US President Donald Trump's response to his letter, where he said he was, and I'm quoting, very angry to hear the news about Ukraine's attack on Druzhba oil pipeline. And I'm quoting, Viktor, I do not like hearing this. I am very angry about it. Tell Slovakia you are great friend. Tell Slovakia. So it seems like the interests of Slovakia and Hungary are better defended by a country that has nothing to do with Slovakia and Hungary compared with the European Union. What is the European Union going to do? Nothing. So why would you stay in the European Union? So could Slovakia and Hungary get in a war with Ukraine? Definitely. For me, that's a declaration of war. Now let me go to the guys in Japan. I'm not here to defend Japan. I'm just giving you more information, okay? First, if you don't know, the Americans decoded the Japanese communication, okay? Like they did with the Enigma with the Germans. Enigma the same. They had the code. How did they do it? In Germany's instance, they shot down an airplane with an Enigma over the territory of Poland. And the Poles took it and gave it to the Brits. That's what they did. The Poles. They were just, as they are right now, someone else's servants. So they gave it to the Brits, and the Brits decoded eventually Enigma. Enigma was the code machine used for the German communication in the Second World War. The Germans were unaware of that, so they didn't change much. Well, they change all the time, but they decoded. So they had this. The same with the Japanese. The Americans were capable to decode the Japanese communication system. And then they knew the communication. And then they told the Japanese, you can't do business in Southeast Asia. Why? Because we say so. You can't get your resources from them. Let me show you. So I always like visual. It's much better. So we're talking about this area right here. So Japan obviously is right here. The United States of America is still here because, United States of America, which dwells in these areas, and here, right here in Hawaii, they said to these guys right here, no, you can't do business in this area right here, Indochina and all that, because we say so. You're a threat to our national security. Okay, well, if I can't do business here and get my raw resources here, what am I going to do? Try to knock the fuck out of you and get my resources. And then remember, when it occurred, the Pearl Harbor attack on the 7th of December 1941, the Japanese delegation was at the White House waiting. And when that occurred, they went and gave the declaration of war to the President of the United States of America. But why? Well, just a second. You want me to starve? You want me to put pressure on my people? Because you don't allow me to go and buy groceries from wherever I want? Now, the Japanese were not the nicest people in those times, just so you know. They were really, really imperialistic power. But they needed that, and in the name of free trade, the Americans should have led it. But if you say, no, it's national interest, then Hungary, Slovakia, national interest versus Ukraine, declaration of war, clearly. Will they do it? No, they won't. Why? Because we don't live in a world these guys are telling us we live in, where countries are independent and sovereign and free. No, this is the matrix. That's the matrix. Reality is different. We have a certain kind of group interest, and those guys, what are the groups? Well, the group is based ethnically, if you want ethnically, and financially. And these guys are pulling the strings in the Western world, and through the Western world, they pull the strings in the other poorer, weaker countries. Unless you get to China, you get to India, and you get to Russia. These countries are not in those guys' net. That's why they're going to use the Western world and us to fulfill their goal, which is domination. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So nothing will happen. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.